Hey guys, I want to review the work we did in class today applying the DATE process in the SAT evidence-based reading section to the passage on sailors at sea. So just a reminder, we determine the details from the question to understand what we're being asked to do. We then annotate accordingly, right? Based on our information, based on the clues and the details we have from the question, we annotate strategically, generate our target, our own understanding, our own answer, and then we eliminate answers that are obviously wrong, and then we identify the answer that most matches our target. So let's try that with our answers from that passage. Right. Question number 10 is a general question. This tells us that we need to understand the scope of the whole passage before being able to answer it. So I'll come back to this at the end. I'm sort of simulating how I would go through the passage. I do know that question 13 is a vocab and context question. It's a detailed question, so I know that I need to close read line 25, come up with my own understanding, my own target of what lies most nearly means. My target might be is or exists. Somebody said within, right? So I use that target, I apply it to the question choices, and I come up with answer B. Resides is the answer that most nearly matches my target. Everything else is obvious. It has a clear reason why it's wrong. Right? Extends is not right. It's got nothing to do with deception. There's no evidence for any of that. So B is correct. If we move on to another detailed question. This question will tell us that I need to look closely at what singular disadvantage is being described. So I close read line 25, and I need to find out what the text is stating, right, and come up with my own target. So as I read line 25, and I need to annotate for what is the disadvantage of the sea, right? So you underline as necessary, annotate as necessary to figure out what is the big deal about the sea, right? And my target in this case is that there are many waves swamping boats. I think Nafisa said that basically wave after wave is bad. Write that target down, keep that target in your head, and use it to evaluate the answer choices. Which of these answer choices most matches that target, which is many waves swamping boats or wave after wave is bad? The answer in this case is C, right? Every dangerous wave is followed by one that's equally dangerous. We can eliminate the ones that are obviously wrong because they're not backed by evidence. The correct answer in the SAT is always going to be the one that has clear evidence for it. The other ones, in some way, shape, or form, do not have evidence for them, right? Because the text tells us nothing about, for example, nothing about small boats in particular. It doesn't tell us about sailing skills in particular. So the answer is C. Another detailed question, right? This one is if I look at this question, I know that and determine what it's asking me to do. It's telling me to annotate the last paragraph and pay attention to what the men in the boat, how the men in the boat are being described. So it's a detailed question, find out what the men are. This is a passage that might confuse you, or it might distract you because it's got so much language, right? But really, you've determined, determined what the question's asking you to pay attention to. It's how are the men feeling? What's their state of mind? So that you can not ignore, but you can gloss over everything else and pay close attention to the men. They had no time, right? There are other things occupying their minds. They're not really noticing the sun. They're not noticing all the colors, right? So my target in this case is men are busy. They didn't see the sun, right? Don't worry about the amber lights and the emerald green and blah, blah, blah. Just extract from this last paragraph that the men are busy and did not see the sun. Take that target to eliminate things that are not backed by evidence and find the answer that most clearly matches your target, in this case, D, oblivious to some aspects of the world around them, right? That's the one that most nearly matches our target. The other ones are demonstrably wrong. In other words, we don't have any evidence. The text says nothing about them being paralyzed. The text doesn't say that they are unable to respond to danger or that they're exhausted, right? In fact, the text says nothing about hope and rescue, right? So the other answers don't have evidence for them. So your target, that's what helps you navigate this. If you have a target, you have a lens through which you can eliminate what's wrong. and then apply it, and then find the answer that matches it. So those are the 3 of the questions. Now we can go to the inference question, right? That inference questions, you usually have to have read the whole passage. So now we can go to the inference question, question 11. Right, we look at the characterization of the captain's voice. Actually, you make a target. We look at the passage. Right, what do we notice about the voice? It's steady, but it's got deep and mourning. So what's my target? Steady, deep and mourning, steady, deep and mourning. In my own words, that means that the captain is, he's strong, sad, right? Those are the words. Just you don't spend too long coming up with a fancy synonym. Just very quickly, what, in your own words, what is the target? Strong and sad. Then I take my target and I eliminate what's obviously wrong. E is obviously wrong. It says nothing about him being anxious, right, or being impatient. A is obviously wrong. There's nothing about reckless. So which one matches my target? Which one matches my target most clearly? That is B, distressed yet determined to persevere. Right? And then I think there's a slight error on the slides here, but the sentence in line, if you close read the lines 40 to 41, and you're looking for detail to see what does that indicate. Right? This is an inference question, and my target from this is basically, it's oddly or weirdly pretty. It's oddly or weirdly beautiful, the sea. Right? So here you can refer to the text that you have in your own document. But if you take this target to the answers, you'll find that what most closely matches oddly or weirdly pretty, the answer is A, right? A detached observer might find the scene aesthetically intriguing. So this is what I meant earlier, sorry, when I said that inference questions tend to want you to have had a sense of the whole passage. And now we can go back to the initial one, question 10, right? Now that we've finished the passage, we've attacked the detail questions, we've been using the date process, we can go to question 10, which is the one that asks us about the passage as a whole. It's a global question. So what's the primary focus of the passage? In this case, we know that the passage is about sea, the power of the sea, right? It's not about the fear of men. We have evidence for that. We don't have evidence for that. It's not about the captain exclusively, right? The one we have most evidence for is that it's about the power of the sea. So that's applying the DATE process. Other textbooks will use different language, but it's the same kind of thinking. Know what the question stems are. What's the question asking you to do? Annotate accordingly, right? So you're annotating based on what you understand from the questions. Generate a target. What's your prediction, your own answer, and then eliminate obviously wrong answers and match your target. So for next week, I'll assign a couple of exercises on Khan Academy for you guys to practice some more grammar and punctuation, as well as applying this date strategy to another passage. See you soon.